like they just are like I have one of those.
Yeah.
But with him, slow motion is better than no motion,
Yeah, they'll
right?
just stare at me. They'll lay on the bed and just stare at me and be like, "We're not going."
So Buddha's automatic. He's the younger one. Um, he's even so bad. I think I told you this off air. The minute you act like you're getting out of bed,
Yep.
I don't care if you just want to put a leg over out of the covers at 2 a.m.
Yep.
This dude's getting up and he's going to sit on the floor and he's going to wait. He'll wait about a minute maybe, and then he's like, "Oh, false alarm." In the morning, though, like that dude
Yeah.
he's going right to the door. He's going to sit and he's going to the kitchen
Yeah.
and he's going to sit and he's going to eat. I do the food at night. Then I let him out. Then he comes back to bed. Biggie, the older one, nah, you like have to. Hey, you ready?
Yeah, you got to convince him. He's like,
You ready?
it's like, "Hey, big guy, it's time to get up."
But the beautiful thing about those two is that they eat before they go out.
Yeah, mine got to go out first.
So I'm thankful for that because I assume most dogs are like that.
Yeah.
But they eat first and then they go, so I don't have to double up in the morning.
Yeah, mine is.
Where you like let them out, you bring
Yeah.
them back in, they eat, and then you gotta let them out before you go again. No,
You-
they're cool.
Usually my wife will feed them in the mornings, but they take, when they're not trying to go outside, then they take forever outside.
Yeah,
They just lollygag out there and
Biggie's only
wander.
got about 7 teeth, so I think we finally found some food. Oh man, it's not funny.
No, it's because Shadow only has a few teeth too, so I understand.
So it's like, and you've seen them. You've seen them while I'm there. You've seen them while I'm not there. They're not exactly the most guard dogs. They're more lovers.
Yeah, there's a little bit to leave desired from a security standpoint there.
Yeah. Although if it's like nighttime,
Yeah, they a little better.
for sure, Buddha, that dude stays on high alert. But like when people just walk in the house, now if he hears something, it's different. But when people come in the house, it's like, guess who's back?
They didn't know I was there till I pet them.
Yeah, isn't that
Like
weird?
I walked all the way. I was like, oh, maybe they're in a kennel or a room or something. I walk all the way up to them
Dude,
and just pet them, and they're like, oh, hello.
We didn't. This is crazy. We didn't even really kennel Buddha.
Yeah.
Now he took it took some energy, but I was like, he has a guy that can lead the way.
Mhm.
So let's just try to get him to do what Biggie does.
Yeah.
Now we had we had the wood floors in the living room. We didn't put any carpet down, but he was almost lights out from the get go.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was almost lights out from the get go. Now, Biggie, on the other hand, he took a little time.
Yeah.
He took a little time, but now he's like the savvy veteran. Got him a bed to go outside because they like the sun.
Yeah, mine too.
Apparently, it's good for the skin. But
Yeah.
I use like a little enclosure so they can't go down into the grass because I don't really want them to be outside dogs.
Yeah, me either. I don't really roll that way.
Yeah, like
I'm not like that.
and so like they'll stay out there and chill. And now they've learned to share. Sometimes they share the trampoline bed thing. Sometimes they don't.
They gotta play nice.
But it's good, man. I get it though when dogs aren't vibing.
Yeah.
Not at all.
There's some mornings where they're just like, hey, nope, didn't get enough sleep. We're not going. And I was like, guys, we really need to do this.
Yeah,
This is a must here.
Well, maybe they were up watching hockey.
They might have been.
This is a spectacular night of sports. A lot of funny things happening.
Well, we got a lot of play. We had both NHL games. We had both NBA games. We had a lot of playoff sports last night.
Yeah, there were some crazy couple drunk baseball games.
Ooh, I didn't see the drunk baseball games.
Kind of Royals Brewers was a little drunk. The day baseball with the I have no idea what the A's and Rangers were doing.
Yeah, the A's have been on a super weird streak because they dropped like 20 on the Marlins, and then they got beat by 12 or something. Like the A's are strange.
Yeah, and it was I don't know, it was 11-0 yesterday in the middle of the day to get that thing started, and then like they, it ended up being I don't know, was it 18-7, 15-7, 15-7, maybe something like that. But then I mean, some streaky teams. Harper had the grand slam last night. I'm hoping the Phillies aren't going to be a problem. Now, I have them in the playoffs. And remember, I almost didn't. I almost took two teams from the sorry Central. Can you believe I picked the Cardinals?
I really can't, honestly.
It was a coin flip between them and the Cubs.
You were just like trusting the franchise.
I always try to do one that I think not everybody else is going to pick because I figured Milwaukee would come way back, and then they got off to the torrid start. Now they've since
cooled off a little bit.
Kinda. I think they've only won 4 out of their last 10, but I mean, can the Cubs bullpen hold up?
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
I also am curious. So it's funny you bring up the Cubs because I was reading an article this morning about Imanaga, Shohei.
Yeah.
And it was about how, he's kind of defying the general convention about velocity and all these things, right?
Yeah, he's a soft tosser.
And so that's the word that got me in the article was soft tosser because he's a lefty, okay? And that's a comment, soft tossing lefty or crafty lefty or whatever, right?
It's interesting. I said that because you like.
That's exactly where
I thought you wanted to fight.
No, that's exactly where I was going though. Because I'm sitting
exactly.
I'm sitting there. I'm reading this article, and it goes on to call him a soft tossing lefty. Guess what his average 4-seam fastball is?
91 mile an hour.
92.
Okay. I watched him throw a couple of gyms early.
And so here's my issue with categorizing him as a soft tossing lefty.
I'm not going to tell you what I call him to Verzal. It's probably not politically correct.
Yeah, we're going to try and keep you on the air. All right. That's an off-air conversation.
Well, it's a type of noodle. It just
macaroni.
No.
Oh, okay. No. So the cavatappi.
Wow. So, Arcadian Grill used to use
Stromboli.
Those noodles.
Yeah, cavatappi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could go pretty deep in my noodle repertoire there. No, but so
the only reason I know is because I watch the Cooking Network, and sometimes the people that win in the competition make typically homemade or pasta from scratch.
Yeah, I just eat too much.
Yeah, it's not good.
I like pasta a lot.
I'm supposed to have one of our players is at least right now on schedule to come over for dinner, and I don't know with Zoe being sick, I got to see, but so I asked him, hey, we can cook. Like, what do you?
Yeah. What sounds good?
I just wanted him in the kitchen with me because he's always talking about he can cook. So I was just gonna
feel it out a little bit.
Yeah, just just
because a lot of people say they can do a lot of things and they can't actually do them.
And it turns out he had steak yesterday, so he didn't want steak today. So he's like, maybe some chicken, some rice and pasta. You know how I get down. I was like, oh Lord.
Listen, he's a kid. He needs those carbs. I know you aren't on that carb train.
He's like 272, so I don't know if there could be 2 people in the kitchen, but we'll figure it out.
My wife calls those like a 1-butt or a 2-butt kitchen. Like you can be 1 butt in there comfortably, you have 2 butts in there comfortably. I'm reading this article about Imanaga and
soft tosser.
Yeah, but like he's not really. Like 92 is not so. I get comparatively.
Do you watch him work both sides of the plate?
Yeah.
So I think I
would use crafty. He's a crafty lefty.
So how he doesn't challenge guys, I think fits that.
But 92 as a lefty is not like, I get the world has gone crazy and everybody throws 900 miles an hour now.
Dude, I watched the guy throw a 91 mile an hour slider yesterday.
Yeah. I sent you the video.
That's
a
hard.
94 mile an hour changeup.
It's freaking bats.
You know how hard you have to throw for 94 miles an hour to be your changeup?
Yeah.
And so I think I had this conversation with you recently about how, like, when I think soft tossing lefty, I think like Jamie Moyer.
John Tudor or somebody.
Like, I'm talking like low to, like he tops out at like 86.
Yeah.
Like used to be 92, used to be pretty good velo from a lefty.
Remember when Avery was like the soft
Steve Avery?
Yeah, was like the soft tosser of that staff.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, wait a minute, he does pitch with Glavine, but it was just interesting that.
Well, and John Smoltz was he was topping out like 96. 96 doesn't even get you in the top like 100 now.
You want the funniest thing about that?
What?
So, I'm a big Walker Buehler guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Walker Buehler getting into form, and the title of the article, Walker Buehler feels comfortable after touching 96. Okay. He's coming off of 2 arm surgeries.
Yep.
And 96 is like, I think he's getting there.
96 is like not that long ago. And I know I just sound like an old man yelling at clouds, and that's fine. But not that long ago.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Like the guy in Up?
More like Homer Simpson's dad.
Oh, I got off the Simpsons early. I think like Bleeding Gums Murphy was like it for me.
The top like 10 or the first like 10 years were pretty solid.
Lisa,
but it's been going
your
on.
birthday. Happy birthday, Lisa.
The following like 20, 25 years have been a little touch and go. But like good for them, cash those checks. But yeah, like so they're his dad is like super old and he's just out there yelling at clouds. I think that's where it came from. I don't know.
I just think it's funny how you have cartoons and people actually have hair, but there's no real hair. It's just like they just
just like squiggled on top
in your hair, in your head. Yeah, but anyway.
But yeah, so I get that I'm just an old man yelling at clouds here, but I have the hardest time in the world calling 92 miles an hour a soft tosser. I'm gonna stick with Crafty. Can I stick with Crafty? Is that okay?
Crafty. Tigers Guardians was drunk yesterday.
Crafty lefty.
I think after 2 yesterday. It was 5-5.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And then I think it was 7-5 Guardians and 7-7 Tigers, and I'm like, what is going on?
They were getting after it a little bit.
It was just a weird day, and we get early baseball today. I think it's
Let's see what we have today. The NBA games were only okay last night.
I think it's Pirates and the Angels.
Oh, Angel Baroa.
No, nice recall. Old but nice.
Most of my baseball knowledge is like
Angel Baroa. Huh. It's deep.
Most of my baseball knowledge
it's a deep cut.
It's from like 95 to 2010.
Yeah.
That's my sweet spot.
So who did you have winning the East again in the AL?
I went Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah.
I picked the Orioles.
Or no, I went Orioles. I went Yankees to make it.
Are the Orioles going to get it going or?
I don't feel great about it because I remember I had the Orioles as the division and then Yankees.
And listen,
as the wild card.
I get it, right? They're top of the division at 23-12, but it just seems like they're kind of just going along.
Yeah, they haven't had like a great stretch yet, which probably bodes well for them that they're still 23-12.
Yeah, like win 4, lose 1. I get that's not awful.
No,
but that just kind of seems what it is.
But you feel like they should have a run at some point over the summer where they win like 12 out of 13.
The team you got to worry about.
What's that?
Is the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
because the Rays are doing Rays things again. I think they've won 5 in a row, but I'm not so sure about Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't trust Boston at all because
you're playing way above your head, though.
Yeah, they're out punching their weight class right now, so they'll come back to the pack. I'm guessing Tampa will pass. I mean, they're only like half game back.
Tampa's going to Tampa, though.
Yeah, Tampa's going to pass the Red Sox, and it's going to be Red Sox Blue Jays, looks like at the bottom of the league, or the bottom of the division. And I don't know, like the Blue Jays should not be there. That's probably
you look at their roster.
In this division, that's probably where Boston belongs, considering their roster.
That's why you can't do the whole paper thing.
Toronto does not belong there.
Yeah, and
but they've been kind of underperforming a couple years now.
It's their bullpen.
Yeah.
But it's good on paper.
Yeah. It's not good in real life.
And I'm like
IRL, as the kids say. That's different than TRL, which is what we were used to.
That's fine.
Were you a big MTV guy back in the day?
Yo, MTV Raps, of course.
Obviously.
It's exciting.
I did watch the lady. She ended up doing Shane. We had her on air in our former life. The little lady. She's not a little lady. The lady that has the short brown hair. She ended up coming over to like KPTM.
Oh, really?
Is that right, Shane? I almost said Martha Stewart.
It's not Martha
because she just presented something over the weekend, and I was like, "How do you keep going? How do you you're a criminal and you're being
ex-criminal?"
Sorry, Shane. What's the lady's name that used to host
TRL?
I'm not sure if it was TRL
because TRL was like Carson Daly was the big one.
Okay, so she did what he did. So, Twitter's got it.
I don't know.
Brian Mc.
No, it's a female.
Was another TRL. I'm just thinking all the TRL guys.
Shane, she ended up doing local stuff here on television. Craziest thing ever.
All right. Well, I'm looking up with the TRL hosts. Okay.
I want to say Martha.
Was it Susie Castillo?
No,
Was
I would
it
know a Castillo.
Van-
It's a pretty
Vanessa Lachey?
no.
I don't-
It's a pretty standard wasp name.
like a yellow jacket?
Taylor. How does nobody flipping TK thinks he knows everything? Can he chime in?
Is it not? It's not Hillary Burton.
Nope.
I got nothing.
Thank you.
Lindsay Rodriguez.
Nope. Tracy got it.
Who's
Martha Quinn.
Martha Quinn. She wasn't even on my list.
She's early.
Internet, what are you doing to me?
Goodness gracious. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
So didn't that lady like do stuff for KPTM here, Shane?
No, we're gonna Google Martha Quinn now.
That's what I'm looking up.
I'm telling you, we talked to her. Short black hair.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the Wikipedia.
Hey, listen, hey man,
it's not really important, but that's okay. No, I'll mess around with
Travis. Yeah, wasp. I didn't know what else to say.
You could just
He's
say
talking to a ghost.
no. She was a white woman. You talking to? That's a low key, really funny drop there, Shane. You talking to a ghost? That's
Yeah,
Talking to a ghost.
Shane's full of them. I know she did something here locally. You
I'm
guys
looking.
can-
We got MTV. We
you guys
got
can laugh at me if
acting
you want to.
roles, career in the 21st century.
Jamie knew it too. I should have looked at Twitter.
What do we got?
I was panicking because I couldn't get Martha Stewart out of my head.
Yeah, you were messing with Martha Stewart a little bit.
I just saw her.
Doing what?
I don't know. She presented something.
I got nothing here.
I saw it in passing.
She did do like news and radio and stuff. I don't see anything about Omaha, but
Of course she did.
I mean, the Wikipedia doesn't have not now. I'm not
you
saying
just don't want to validate me.
no. I did a control F. We're doing a search here on Omaha.
It's fine.
It's it's fine. It's fine.
It's totally fine.
It's exciting. Speaking of exciting, we got a good show for you coming up here today.
I hope so.
In just probably, I don't know. We'll see.
We're kind of trending.
Coming up in a few minutes here. It is. We're killing it. Air bump.
I did that to you one day because I'm dumb.
Yeah.
And somebody like screen grabbed it.
Yeah.
It made my arm look like I had like a 74-inch wingspan.
Yeah, it's because like your camera and then my camera, and it picks up. Looks like your arm's super long.
I wish they were. I don't know what I would do with them. Probably
Try and dunk.
Probably been a better dunker.
I would just try and dunk all the time.
I'd have been a power dunker.
Coming up at 7:30, we got Marty Cordero. He's of course he runs everything. I think he runs Union Omaha, runs the Omaha Storm Chasers,
And he's got range too, so sometimes he's just flat out funny.
yeah, he's a good guy to talk to. We love Marty. We'll talk to him here in a few minutes as Union Omaha gets prepared to host Sporting KC. First time an MLS team's been here in Omaha.
I was getting some checks yesterday, and along the board
Mhm.
in the bank
Mhm.
was Union Omaha.
I'm excited. I think I'm going to be out there tonight.
It's pretty cool because they did a lot of local advertising.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is pretty sweet. I kind of like it. I saw a Supernovas thing, and they would put a teller on there, and they'd say, "Hey, this is Steve Thomas, avid sports fan, father of 2." I was like, "Oh, that wasn't his real name, but I mean, he looked like a Steve.
You look like a Steve, a little waspy.
Nobody can do that.
Marty Cordero at 7:30. We will talk Union Omaha. They've got Sporting KC in tonight. They might be sold out.
Yeah,
They were down to 50 pretty soon.
yeah, it's done.
They
Done,
were-
done.
They were down to 50, I think, yesterday or a couple days ago. So we'll ask Marty where they're at there. They very well might be sold out, but we'll see if maybe he's got some standing room only he's going to release to us, and
Yeah.
we can maybe get some more people out there. 8 o'clock, we got Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Andy Kendeigh at 8:30 from our guy
He'll have
KETV. Always got jokes. Then we got Mitch Sherman at 9 from The Athletic. Going to get into some of those conversations we were having yesterday. I always think it's funny. So, how our
Mitch was one of the first national guys, even though he lives up the street, to respond to our interview. Mitch,
with Rule, yeah.
he's a very he's a quick processor.
Mhm.
Even though like he seems like he can kind of take his
He's a
time.
quick processor, but he's a deliberate speaker.
Yeah,
Like he
like
thinks about things
Mitch
before
was
he.
on a lot of key stuff early.
Yeah, he really was. So we'll be excited to talk to Mitch here at 9. But and there's a lot of stuff we got to yesterday. I always think it's funny, right? Because our social media team, which does a great job, they take
Dude, they're incredible.
they take clips out of the show, right? And they post them on social media, give us a little more run, give people a reason to come and listen to the show in the mornings. So the one they picked out yesterday was me talking about Bo Pelini.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell in the responses who was listening to the show and understands context, and the people that are just like, oh, he's talking about Bo Pelini again.
Yeah.
Lazy radio host 10 years later talking about
I'll
Bo
take it.
Pelini. It's like, no, we weren't actually talking about Bo Pelini at all.
It wasn't pretty.
You haven't people learned to not do that yet, though?
No, because people are dumb,
Wow.
or they can be. Not most of our listeners, because the people that actually listen to the show,
Although I do agree, people can make you dumb.
Like-
I say it all the time.
the people that actually listen to the show, the context of the replies overwhelmingly made it seem like people understand what I was talking about, which is good. That means they were listening to the show,
Yeah.
right? Because from the clip alone, I understand what it could look like, but context is important here, guys. We're not talking about Bo Pelini for the sake of like, should they have fired Bo? Like it's been.
I wouldn't even entertain.
No,
those
you would hit me. I think.
Yeah, it's just.
I think you would smack me around.
I wanted to I'd have probably taken it out on you and not Alex, but I couldn't believe you guys talked about Frost so long
Oh yeah.
when he talked to.
When he did his little
I was like, you guys better. You're totally taking advantage of me not being.
100%. Listen, I got to get my shots in when I can. Hey, listen, he really wants to coach again.
I would not have let that happen.
I'd have tried anyway.
Lazy radio host.
10-year-old topics. Nobody cares. Listen to the whole
I
show.
like that. I like that voice. Who is that?
Angry Twitter guy voice. I'm going to add it to my collection. Well, actually, coming up next, we're going to talk to our guy, Marty Cordero, here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Good morning. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We are joined now by the one and only Marty Cordero. He's the president of, I think, all of Omaha at this point. Is that right, Marty?
Can we have dueling mayors? We have 3.
No dueling mayors.
Yeah,
Mayor's
we
doing.
yes.
No.
We've got a Mayor Joel, we
Mayor's
have a Mayor
doing-
Marty, and we have a Mayor Stothard.
Mayor Stothard's doing her thing, and we're proud to be partnering on a future soccer project. But no, for today, sure, I'll be president. I'll be president of a couple sports teams. Good morning, Ravi, DB. How are you guys?
I'm good. How are you? Hey, just as long as you don't try to backdoor any budget issues from city council, the mayor will probably be cool. I mean, no disrespect to Pete Festerson or anybody's.
No,
Come
I'll
through
get
the
there.
come
I'll
through
get
the
there.
front door like building new stadiums, man. How
Yeah.
about that, Marty?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to pretend to be surprised that you have support, but man, you got to be like, hey, we're doing big things. We're doing big things.
We're trying. Since Gary Green acquired the club almost 12 years ago on the baseball side.
What one of the coolest
he's
people
one
on
of-
the planet, by the way.
He is. He's a really good guy, and another of his connections. Brought Daryl Strawberry to the Boys Town event last week, and Gary's a good guy. But look, today's a big day for us. Shifting gears and the first place chasers and unbeaten Union Omaha. It's a good double dip today, but. Sporting KC coming to town, big news. First meaningful MLS team game in city history. So it's a big day.
Marty, last I saw on the Union Omaha Twitter, they were quickly running out of tickets. Are there tickets left for people to go out and get?
There are. We're out of bleacher backs. Those sold out, I don't know, yesterday or Monday, and I believe there's right around 300 of the bleacher seats. In the grandstand, and I think there's about 100 berm/standing room only. So about 400 tickets remaining. So you can get them now.
It's not really a bad seat.
No, not at UNO. You're on top of the action. It's a really neat venue for viewing soccer, and we want it to be loud. And for those that haven't yet witnessed Union Omaha soccer for whatever reason, or if you're not a soccer aficionado and you want to support local and you want to see the home team hopefully advance again in the Open Cup, tonight's the night. Opening the gates early, 5:30 gates, allow people a little extra time to get in, and first kick is at 7 p.m. tonight over at Kendeigh.
Oh, I love how you have the lingo too. Good on you, Marty. First kick. You're like, DB's not that funny.
He's been doing this a minute now. With
I know he's like a savvy veteran. Marty, like
Well,
you mentioned life is good. Yeah, and I get it. Like I always talk to you about being spread thin, but it's a lot easier to be spread thin when you're having dual success, right? You got to the 20 win mark early, especially compared to a few years past with the Chasers off to a really, really good start.
no, it is. And with the Royals,
Well, I mean,
signing,
what are we at? 5 straight now? 6 straight.
six after last night,
Yeah.
and after the Royals signed, a number of free agents at the big league level, it allowed players that needed a little extra time to develop to stay here, and to be in Omaha, and you're seeing the successes of that. Manager Mike Jerschley continues to bring his calming watch and management style, and it's allowing players to develop. And the Royals, the Royals, not only did they sign players, but so far so good. It's worked out, and led by Seth Lugo starting, it's really helped lengthen the rotation in the bullpen, which has done the same in AAA.
All right, Marty, I know you've got the double dip today, probably a little more in soccer mode since it's the big MLS team coming up to Omaha. On what are your different roles look like today when you've got both things going on? It seems a little hectic for a little pea brain like me.
That's both of us.
Look, I most of the planning and execution related to tonight's 7 p.m. kick over at Kendeigh has been led by our I guess new GM. She's been with us about 4 months, Alexis Boulos, and her team, as well as our operations lead, Matt Sutter, and his ops team. There's a lot involved in moving signage and moving our home, if you will. It's I would say that it's not difficult because it's what we do each day, but it's time consuming. And then when you have 2 games on the same day, which has only happened once before. Previously, we played a match at Morrison Stadium a couple years back and had a baseball game going on at Werner. That was at the same time, not 2 separate times. So this is different. This will be the largest crowd we've played in front of in town, other than the finals in 2021 out at Warner Park, which was over 5,300, and tonight, should be a sellout right at 4,300. So there's a lot more involved, and there are people coming in from out of town, quite a bit from a Sporting KC perspective, and we want to make sure that we're hospitable in the stands, hospitable at the concession stands, and hopefully not hospitable on the field.
Mark, you got to answer me something here, because you did something pretty cool with Union Omaha, and you got off to a good start with Mims, and then you make another good hire, which a lot of times doesn't happen with Cassie. I'm going to mispronounce his last name.
Coach Cassiato.
And you're continuing the ascent. What has made this thing so viable? Because we get into this all the time with other sports, right? Is it coach? Is it specific to the coach? Is it a good job to have? Is it specific to the coach? Is it a good job? This apparently just appears to be maybe both, right? Where you made kind of a seamless transition after losing a good coach in an infancy part of a program that doesn't happen a ton.
Yeah, look, I go back to Gary. I go back to how we hire. We genuinely want good people, quality people leading our programs, and not only leading our programs, but working with us. We want people that aspire for more. We don't hire people looking for them to stay at Omaha Storm Chasers or Union Omaha. If they decide to do that, great. But we know in most cases we are a step along the way. And when you hire quality people who want to grow, learn, and are hungry, that's a great combination. And, we've done that obviously off the field for a number of years, and now we're doing it on the pitch on the soccer side. This is our first jump. We're only a little over 4 years into running a sport side of things, but we hired Coach Mims. He was a community guy, successful here. Obviously, he's moved on to Memphis at the next level, USL Championship, and then Coach Casciato. This was his first jump into being a head coach. And so far, he's made Gary and myself and our former GM, Peter Marlette, look quite smart, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the first 2 years without the Open Cup, then you go quarters and third round. I know it's not your personality to expect that level of excellence. I think you're going to take it as it comes, even though you're going to set a barometer for quality. Do you feel like you guys can be your own benchmark yet?
Yeah, I do. But I would go back to that. We do expect to win. I would say if we're playing competition, anything short of MLS, we expect to win. And we're not.
That Open Cup
level,
is tough, man. Good on you.
It is. But we expect to win all of our League One matches, whether it's the Jaeger Cup or whether it is regular season. And we do expect when we play USL Championship to win or be highly competitive. And that is our focus. And whatever happens on the field against the MLS squad, we're 2-1 against the MLS over the last 3 years. Tonight is our, we're 2-2 against MLS, and tonight is a chance, to get that third victory. So, but that's the expectation. And if you don't have it, you're not going to sell tickets. You're not going to win games. You're not going to sign quality players on or off the field or front office staff. And, and Gary allows us to have that vision.
All right, Marty, speaking of tickets, unionomaha.com to get the few remaining tickets for tonight's game, right?
Yeah, that's the best spot. We do have a lot of first-time fans that have questions. They could also call the ticket office starting around 9 a.m. at 402-738-5100. Tickets will be available, at the door, at the gate, should we have them available. So the best place to check there is our Twitter at Union Omaha. But I would tell you, just go ahead and buy your ticket so you don't have to check later on to see if there's any available. Just go now. Let's create a sellout now, and let's create this atmosphere for the Union Omaha squad as best we can. 7:00, and first pitch day for Chasers at Werner is 12:05. So great double dip, great chance to do a double dip.
And I don't want to have to give out your cell phone number again, so I'm glad you're good, Marty.
Oh, that was you. I thought that was the other day. Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I thought it was.
Marty,
Thanks, MC.
we appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys.
That's Marty Cordero from Union Omaha. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We've got a busy week of professional sports for you here in Omaha. As we just talked to Marty Cordero, you've got Union Omaha against Sporting KC tonight. Get to unionomaha.com for tickets there. And then tomorrow night, got the final home match for your Omaha Supernovas against the Columbus Fury. That's 7 p.m., CHI Health Center. Go to supernovas.com to get your tickets for the final home match of the season. Now, keep tuned in because later on in the show, I'll tell you how to get some tickets for the PVF championships that will be here in Omaha also. But this is your last regular season home match for the Omaha Supernovas. Make sure you get to supernovas.com. Supernovas.com for ticket information, schedule, all that good stuff. That's supernovas.com.
Who gave you permission to give away tickets?
I didn't give away tickets.
No, but you kind of intimated you may. Or is that just
No,
to let us
that
know
was a
how to
little
get
tease.
there?
I'm going to let you know how to get
Yeah,
them.
because I'm just telling you, man, people get stingy when we want to like do our own kind of giveaways. We just can't go rogue.
Oh, I'm not going rogue. Don't worry. I'm just going to give them like a
This
website.
time.
And so, this time.
This time. Because I don't know if Shane gave you the green light, and I certainly know after you
Shane doesn't tell me what to do.
After you reprimanded Sasha yesterday.
Oh, come on, Shane.
Publicly.
I didn't reprimand her. She was just wrong about conferences. What do you want me to do? I was performing a public service because people were misguided about what conferences looked like in the 70s through 2000s.
I'm glad you brought conferences up.
I was glad. It was an opportunity for me to educate,
Uh-huh.
which I appreciate doing.
Yep. Educate, appreciate, one of those 8s.
Yeah, as long as it's something I'm right about. I love educating people. It's my favorite thing.
Just unabashed.
It's my favorite thing to do. Who else was educating people yesterday?
Who's that?
One Shador Sanders.
Oh, here we go.
He wanted to let everybody know he had to educate people that he had a Maybach.
So, are you a Rick Ross guy? Because I'm not.
No.
I'm mad at Rick Ross of the way he's the whole
mumble rap nonsense.
Well, that and the fact the whole BBL.
Yeah.
Him and Drake, and I'm kind of over that. Although it's just been like diss track central the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't care about.
But
that
it
at all.
originally started with Rick Ross and Drake. But I mean, why wouldn't you want to be down with Rick Ross's production company? I don't know when they're playing football, but
I don't know. At some point, maybe.
I guess. Hey, stay distracted as long as you want.
Yeah, you want to stay distracted through like September? That'd be fine.
That'd be cool.
I'm good with that.
You know, the interesting thing is there are all these, and I heard somebody's. Gosh, was it Boyce? Somebody sent me a conspiracy theory thing.
Okay.
That the run on the quarterbacks this year was so teams didn't have to draft Sanders next year.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
And it seemed like a reach.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Until it came up on a national talk show when I was driving around Was it Dockich? Gosh, this is terrible show prep. But I can't remember, so it's not really my prep.
No, yeah, we didn't know it was going to come up.
It was. I know it was on. It was somebody on 590. Anyway, the discussion. This was just Monday. God is my witness, and this came. The DM came after the draft, and I'll scroll back through. I got it. It's hard, but I can scroll back through it. And so I kind of laughed it off. I dismissed it, and it came up the other day with everybody scrubbing social media and how they raked Caleb Williams over the coal, which is what I said to you. I'm like, so we're going to scrutinize nail polish and a midriff, and like,
but we're cool with Shador.
And I said, is Sanders going to be okay?
Yeah, I would say
it's kind of tongue in cheek. We didn't even get into it. I just was like, oh, the irony.
Passing. Yeah.
I was like, oh, the irony. But this was actually a topic for as long as I was in the car, so it was about 28 minutes. That would GMs and teams be turned off by Shador Sanders' social media game? And would he be a good guy to be able to fall in line in the locker room?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't know, though. Because it just got me thinking, and I meant to talk about it yesterday, but of course, we were in school.
Hold that thought for a second, right? Because what is something that we admired Dylan for in the spring game, right? Where he made the bad throw to Bell, Bell or Barney?
It was Bell.
Okay, made the bad throw to Bell, caused the interception, even though it went off Bell's hands, and he goes, "Yeah, no, that's on me. That was behind him. It wasn't on time. That's my bad." Didn't even let the idea of Demetrius Bell touching it enter the equation, right? So we're like, okay, we like that he does that. Now I know it's a little different, but isn't that pretty polar opposite from what we've seen Shador Sanders go out and throw former teammates under the bus?
Yeah.
Like that's where, because listen, I think you're right. I think GM should have a bigger problem with what Shador does outside of football than what they did with Caleb Williams. And frankly, Caleb Williams is a better football player. Like that's not a hot take. I'm not hating on Shador. Like Caleb Williams is better. But I think, and maybe I'm wrong, I think GMs are more comfortable with the type of nonsense that Shador brings to the table because they've seen it before. They've seen the guy that's like really flashy and arrogant and wants to let you know how much money he's got and wants to let you know, oh, look at my watch and look at my car and look at all this. And like the cocky, arrogant thing seems like they're more comfortable with that because they have a prototype for how to deal with it. Like usually it's a wide receiver or a corner, right? But they at least know that personality type. I think the scary thing with Caleb Williams is they don't understand it. They don't understand that type of personality. That's the bigger deal than, oh, he paints his nails, or like they just don't know what to do with it. They know what to do with Shador. Now, I'd be more concerned as somebody who is not an idiot. I'd be more concerned about Shador than I would be about Caleb.
Yeah, it's just interesting because he's going to fall. He's going to have to hit the measurables will come into play. His real size, all the things that we saw with like Jaden Daniels. Because I still don't really know how big Shador Sanders is.
I don't either.
So it's like, okay, they're going to get into the arm talent. That will be part of the scrutiny. Who else is coming out? I assume, Carson Beck and some guys. But
probably
it's
Quinn Ewers.
Yeah. The two Heisman favorites.
Yeah.
So, like, is that going to be a thing? Because you can't go back and get that. Or do we just think, or does his circle or entourage think that he's so supremely gifted that doesn't matter? Because you can't go back.
His dad
and get
certainly
it.
does.
You can't go back and get it because it's been all over the place for 3 months.
Yeah, not subtle. Not subtle. It's been aggressive.
Whether it's screen grabs or whatever else.
It's been aggressive and misguided. But just judging by his dad, yes, they absolutely believe he's talented enough that it doesn't matter. And listen, maybe it doesn't, but if I'm a GM and I've got other options, I'm not taking him. No interest in it. Like, I don't like the way.
I mean, all objectiveness.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I don't like the way his dad goes about business. I think he's a chip off the old block. Like, not interested in it at all. I have no interest in my quarterbacks going out and making mixtapes and whatever. Like, I don't have any interest in that. I don't. I just don't.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's an old man thing. Maybe I don't know what it is.
But that's not now. it is an old man take because really, like, who cares? I guess
I'm just saying the track record of the guys that have been good in the NFL are obsessed with football. Obsessed
at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, at quarterback.
Yeah.
At 100%. Other positions, you can be a little goofy. I don't care. Right? At the quarterback spot, the guys that have been successful versus the guys that aren't successful is usually the guys that are obsessed versus the guys
we
that
just had a
aren't.
conversation about a guy that plays Call of Duty, right?
Yeah. Like, there's a reason. And, like, Kyler Murray is supremely gifted enough that,
Let alone being signed to a label.
yeah. Like, there is at the quarterback spot, there is a clear delineation between guys that were obsessed.
Great word.
Thank you.
Love when you wake up and get in your thesaurus.
Between guys that were obsessed and successful and the guys that were not obsessed and weren't. Maybe the only guy that succeeded at a high level without being obsessed, off the top of my head, is Michael Vick.
Yeah, I would say maybe Brett Favre.
Fair? But would he succeed today?
It would be tough in the locker room, probably.
And they don't deal with that many interceptions anymore. You turn the ball over that much now, they're not happy.
Unless you're Josh Allen.
Well, because he runs too, but yeah. But the interceptions, like, you better be Josh Allen, otherwise people are not going to put up with it. Like, Brett Favre is a tough translation to current day football.
I know, and I don't want to steal the hour getting into the weeds with Brett Favre, but I much like Stabler, I'm not going to necessarily say overrated, but
For who? I'm sorry, say that again.
Like a guy like Stabler.
Oh, Stabler. Okay,
there's a couple. Stabler, Namath.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely overrated.
And he's fortunate. Listen to me, a guy that hasn't won at that level. And this guy's kind of fortunate that he had so many Super Bowls.
Terry?
Yes.
Yeah, Terry Bradshaw.
How'd you know I was going to say that?
Because because it's the next logical conclusion in that line of types of guys.
Let's not do that anymore. That's like the sixth time in like the last 2 weeks. Let's go ahead and get out of there. Because what I'm gonna have can I throw
Roger Staubach in there
what
too?
You're gonna force me to do is I'm just gonna go all the way crazy for like 6 days so you can't figure it out.
To throw off my algorithm.
Yes.
I'm like your TikTok right now. Like, yes. I'm predicting your behavior too much.
Yes.
Oh,
and Kent says it right. It's like the easy question is what leadership qualities do you see in Shedeur? Because that's the thing.
Yes, that's why it matters. Right? That's why it matters. You need somebody in that spot that people want to follow. Whether it's vocally, whether it's by their actions.
I just can't believe that they're doing so much.
I can. You know why? Because I think deep down.
But they know better.
I think they know deep down that he's not getting a second contract.
I don't know, but
you better max out that money now if you're not getting a second deal. That's all I'm saying. Because you got Maybachs to pay for, apparently.
Right.
Coming up next week,
BBL.
we got Brian Christopherson here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer Brian Christopherson.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of a circus act.
Brian Christopherson.
Well, I mean, that's pretty interesting.
Brian Christopherson.
I kind of enjoy that.
Here is Brian Christopherson.
We're kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're joined now by Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7. BC, what's going on, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good to see your face again this week, B. How you doing?
Yeah, I thought you needed that.
I'm not going to. Yeah, I did, man.
Got to see your bright and shining face. You know,
to this day.
listen,
You've been bummed to move the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, a little bit. I've been guzzling coffee the last 25 minutes. So I'm kind of wired. I was down and out about 7:25, so I've really turned a corner here.
we like to see you rally, BC. It's it's a good thing you're a Wednesday guest and not a Thursday guest, because I'm pretty sure last week on Thursday Byron Buxton got hurt again.
Yeah, he did.
And that was after like what 10 in a row.
Yeah.
After the ninth, yeah.
He got hurt friggin' running the bases. I mean, that happens nowadays, but man, that you want old. I heard you talking about old guy takes. That's something that grinds my gears like nobody's business. Is these guys just getting hurt running the bases? The Twins have lost 2 dudes now for extended time because of it. But yeah, I was waiting for that. It was about on schedule for Byron, but we picked it up a little bit. If you didn't notice, we had that 12. We got to play the White Sox 7 times, so that helped us out.
So. So I got to, because this is kind of Nebraska football league. We got into this yesterday. And BC, I hate that we use the word should. I almost never do in sports. Well, they should win and this, that, and the other. And we got into like the formula for Nebraska to have a way back to the playoffs or a playoff discussion or national relevance. And we picked the number 9. And I said, it's funny. That number has long drawn the ire of Nebraska fans for decades. We pin it to Pelini, but it was like that in the second half of the 70s, the second half of the 80s. It doomed Coach Soul. It's like it was negative with Bo. Like, it's just never been a good number. And I said, the only time I'm going to use this term is Nebraska made hay during those 30 years by beating the teams they were supposed to beat. And I hate it, but I never think fans should apologize for beating bad teams, because that's how you get big numbers. Golden State got to 72 by beating everybody they should when they should. The most impressive thing about getting to 72 was they beat bad teams on off nights when they didn't have to play hard on a midweek Wednesday night game, right? I don't think, if you're getting drummed by bad teams in the Major League Baseball, that's fine. I wish more good teams would drum bad teams, because in baseball, BC, never apologize. It's hard. So, because even the Rockies have a good arm or two. They have a good player or two. Like, you can't. I don't know, man. I think it's you. If you want to do what the Twins are doing in the Central, you have to do it at the expense of teams. You got to take advantage of the White Sox. I mean,
yeah. I'm not going to apologize for it. We were 7-13, and I was on here a few weeks ago, like, oh yeah, the Tigers are going to win. I was like so down. I was talking up the Tigers on here. I remember that. So yeah, I'm not taking back those wins over the White Sox. And it's a good point about, Husker football. As tough as the November was with those close losses, that October, I'd been waiting. That's why, in part, why November was disappointing to fall after, because I'd been waiting for a month like October where they beat Northwestern, Purdue, Illinois. Those are teams I'd always like circled more than these like supposed marquee games that are going to air on prime time or whatever. I kept thinking to myself, that's the step Nebraska has to take, where you got to claim those games. And we don't even have to call those teams bad teams, because they're not. But like those middle teams right now, sort of bunched up in the middle, you've got to get to the top of the middle and then work from there. And so, yeah, that's me trying to connect the Twins beating the White Sox 7 times to Nebraska's October 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, well, it would be nice if we handled North Dakota or beat South Dakota State or beat Ball State or like I just can't.
Or didn't need an Amir Abdullah miracle to beat McNeese State,
right? So
like,
or lose to Troy, right? Like it's just,
or Georgia Southern.
It's just like at some point you have to take advantage of that if you ever.
Because let's not pretend like the SEC doesn't have
And listen, how often does like Iowa get upset? Not often.
Not a ton,
right? Like how often do teams that are consistent lose to programs that they're perceived better than? Like, that's just got to be part of the discussion if you ever want to be relevant again. You can't lose to.
That's how you raise the floor.
You can't lose to Maryland, right? You can't lose to
Michigan State
or Indiana or Minnesota when they bring 50 guys, right? Like you can't lose those kinds of games.
Yeah, I mean that's a big step for Rule in this program to take, and I did think October was a sign of that. There's work to be done there, and I think another big part of that is
Oh, we lose him, Shane.
Uh-oh.
Yep. I think
we lost him.
Okay, we'll work on getting BC back there. But no, I mean it's a fair point. Like, I understand that people get annoyed when you look at the 9 wins or whatever, and it's like, well, look at who they beat. I get that, right?
No, we're not afforded that luxury anymore.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, don't.
That's where I'm going.
Don't get it anymore.
Right? You don't get the luxury of.
Don't let people say that to you.
Any wins that you get now are good wins.
Yeah,
all wins are good wins.
Yeah, don't let people say that to you.
And don't act like every SEC school doesn't play some FCS team in mid-November.
And
right? Don't act like half of the SEC is actually bad. Because it is.
When you were pretending to be Denzel in training day, going on King Kong, beating your chest over Nebraska's 30-year stretch.
To this day,
they beat everybody that they were supposed to beat in their conference.
100%.
We have Brian back,
and it didn't get our attention until they started losing to Colorado. Right, so don't let people off the hook with that.
BC is back here with us. We appreciate BC. Is he on the phone, Shane?
That is correct.
Okay. So BC, I wanted to ask you this about the 9 wins, because I think DB's right. It's always been kind of a bugaboo number in people's heads, and I don't know if it's just because it's not the you get to double-digit wins, it just feels different, right? But do you think the context of what 9 wins could mean moving forward? And by that, I mean, I did the research on it through the playoff era. If you get to 9 wins, you're going to be in the neighborhood of that number 12 spot. Some years you'll be in, some years you'll be out, but you'll be in the conversation for sure. Do you think that new context of what 9 wins means will help Nebraska fans get over that mental hurdle?
Yeah, I think so. Sorry about that I dropped off.
That's
there
okay.
Too. Bad stream problems. Personal, I guess. But yeah, I mean, nine wins. You're right. In this day and age, would probably put you right on the doorstep of the playoff. And it's going to be more of that NFL mentality. It has been in college football for a long time, and I think more and more fans are realizing that. You've heard, Matt Rule talk about it. I know I'm not probably supposed to bring up Trev's name, but Trev Alberts always used to talk about that. Like, get used to these games, that are going to go down to the last 5 minutes. They're going to be decided by 3 or 4 points. It's like Sunday, at 2:50 p.m. Central around here, where you turn on the NFL and it's going to go down to the last drive. And that's why, like, when you had, Coach Rule on the show last week, and the way he stresses all those little things and the way the theme is chasing 3, in the off season and stuff, it's understood. Like, I mean, that's the climate we're living in now with these games. You've just got to have that 1 or 2 extra details to put you over the top. And along the way, of course, with that, because these games are so close, it's just common math. You're going to lose a couple probably in a lot of years where maybe you have a really good team, but you lose by 4 points one week, but you win your share and you end up 9-3. And you're right, Ravi. I mean, you're right there in the conversation. Then if you notch a big win on your belt and take care of the games Damon was talking about earlier, it's just like handle your business. So I do think we'll look at that number a little different. We'll also look at it differently because it's been a while, right? I mean, Nebraska's been stuck on 4 or 5 for so long. I mean, 9, you're doubling the win total basically. So I think people will be through the moon about it. And if they're not, we have to have a talk with them because they should be at this point.
Yeah, he walks Coach Rule, doesn't he walk like it's almost mythical, but I'll just stick with magical. I guess there could be intertwined this fine line between being such a hardcore realist, and he constantly reminds, hey, we're 5-17. Hey, we haven't won enough for folks to tell me what to do. Like, just let me do my job. Or, hey, this is what you get when you hire me, right? Like, he's told us all along where our pecking order is. Now, whether we subscribe to that, buy into it, or realize it real time, I guess that's on us. But he walks this line of telling us exactly where we are without being deterred by where he thinks we're going, right? Like, he has a gift for that. There's this real pragmatic component to him, but he can cast a vision that comes across as very believable because you can see the plan kind of unfolding. Is that kind of what you get?
Yeah, I think so. And also, you can do a lot of good things in the off season like they're doing. Like, I mean, this weekend in Omaha is a prime example of that, where that's a real thing that if you keep consistently doing that, that's going to help you with recruiting and help you within the state. And that's one of those things that's a good headline. And it's like a very positive thing when we're not playing games for 4 months. You can do that and still not get caught up in patting yourself on the back or like buying into this, there's that whole narrative. Nebraska always wins the off season, right? Like that's been out there for a few years. They're so good at like social media and the way fans and media sort of produce it. Sometimes that people are like, yeah, they do well. And then you get to the games, it's a different story. I think to your question, he does a good job like having that positive stuff happen, but it's sort of it's natural. It comes on naturally. Like it's things just like people nod their head. They're like, yeah, that's what they should be doing. But it's also not like Rule and staff acting like this is magically going to get you 8 or 9 wins just because that happened. You still got to put in the work between the lines and all the stuff that people don't see. And so I think he does a good job with that balance, which is I think, a trickier balance than some realize.
BC, I'm wondering here as we get into what it looks like from going to 4 or 5 wins to 8, 9 wins, right? I went through this exercise with DB yesterday of, you mentioned, hey, you don't have to go 5-0 in the games that Nebraska lost by single digits last year. You just go 2-3 or 3-2, and all of a sudden asking them to win 7 or 8 this year doesn't seem like a leap. Is that a fair exercise to go through when you're talking about doing the little things and kind of making up that margin of error?
He was a little more emphatic, BC. He said just be average. You don't have to run the table. Go 2-3 or 3-2.
That's coin flip games, right? Go 50-50 in coin flip games.
And I just, that kind of actually, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm listening.
Because you could still be as mediocre as you were last year, and if you just win the coin flip games, win half of them, right? All of a sudden, we're having a totally different conversation this year.
Yeah, and while doing so, I think your point's right on. So I don't have much more to say to that. But I mean, it's just building the habits. No, I mean, it's just.
DB hates it when people agree with me.
It's just so rare.
I found myself agreeing with Ravi a little.
I know it's sad. It's starting to really get under my skin because sometimes I do too.
He might be maturing, or
I know it, man.
I'm definitely not maturing, so it might be the other thing.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, it's but also within those games, that it's like handling your business, but also building the habits within them. It's like, you play UTEP that first game, and I liked, I listened like everybody else last week when he was on your show, and I liked that he was saying, don't we're going to talk about Colorado. That's just the way it's going to be. But it's like, his focus and the team's focus has got to be on that first game. It's like, let's be 1-0 for the first time since 2019. Like you gotta check these boxes first, and there's enough of those little things that should motivate a team. Like, let's have the first weekend of college football not be sad around here. Like that's been honestly a really tough thing for Husker football. Like, yeah, the losses obviously hurts, but it's like that first week Nebraska's lost games on week 0, and you can feel it around this state, and it penetrates inside the walls, like in those years where it's like, man, there's already a dark cloud hanging over this season. How do you even get this thing back on track? So I like the fact it's like, take care of the first game first. Let's just worry about that. The big one will come after that. It naturally does. And then, as Ravi says, there's those games, if you tick off enough of them, you will be at 8 wins or so. If you bat like a, 667% or something, on those sort of toss-up games. So the opening of the schedule definitely gives opportunity. We can look at that big picture, I guess, but I like that. I think they're going to be more, focused, micro-focused on it, on each game, and that's going to be key.
I had a couple of conversations, one in depth with a couple of Metro coaches, good Metro coaches, right? And guys we play against, commenting on the interview, right? One of the guys was like, man, he said incredible, it was unbelievable. And I found it got me to think, right? Because we talked for 40 minutes and barely talked about any real football.
Not like on-field stuff, no.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Right.
And it's just, it was whatever, right? Because sometimes you just have to go with the natural flow of the conversation, right? He said, you guys talk about Malcolm Gladwell and Philosoph more than any sports talk show I've ever been on, including, or any radio station I've ever been on, including NPR. Like, and I'm like, but we're still captivated. What is it, BC? You transcribed almost the whole thing. Like, what is it that keeps us captivated and encouraged without even really talking football, when all I've heard for 15 years is we don't have enough talent. You hear all the reasons why we're not winning. Like, why is that so engaging?
I just think it's fun when you have a football coach who's willing to branch out and really have just a layered conversation and take it beyond. And there's plenty. I'm not saying there's not coaches around here who do this, but I think sometimes when you get to that level that Matt rules at, there's a lot of coaches who really they keep it so concise that they don't say anything at all. Sometimes you get so buttoned up about everything, and sometimes it's not even necessary. And so I just appreciate whatever question or topic you lead him into, you're going to get usually a thorough thought on it. He knows that, you're not hiding the deepest secrets in the war chest on some of this stuff. It's just conversation that fans appreciate, getting a look here, a look there inside the program, and understanding you're the main outlet to that for fans, a passionate fan base. And I think he's done as well as any coach that's been here at that. And I don't think that's an overstatement at all. I think it's pretty obvious he's been that. I mean, and part of the reason, I actually felt bad because I was transcribing some of the interview, and I try to not write too much, honestly, too much of the quote, because I want people to listen to it and not take credit away from who did the interview. But what's interesting is when he starts to say something, it's such a thorough thought that I find that if you cut it off after like a sentence or two, it's not fair to his point that he's making. You know what I mean?
That's real. That's real. That's really good, BC. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So that's where I hate, trust me, but we did it to you guys a little bit, but the aggregate thing is kind of gets on my, it grinds my gears, I guess. And so we do it back sometimes, but I think with him in particular, it's like, man, this is a thought. I can't stop it here because he's getting to that. He's using that to get to this, and it's not fair to what he's trying to say. So that's sort of that's a good problem to have though, as a when you're transcribing or you're going through somebody. That's a guy who's a good quote when it does that. I mean, when he's telling the story about using a humorous, joke about with Marcus Satterfield, and I thought that was just a great line that really encapsulated and could make a person who's sort of maybe been a little down on how things went and I don't know about this guy, and you hear the way he told that and that particular anecdote he used, and it was okay, that I get it, yeah, that applies really well to that, and that's a gift to be able to do that.
Yeah, man, BC is rolling. So when he said, and I think he said, I told DB the other day, when he said it when I was at practice, he wasn't in the greatest of moods, and he was kind of just short of kind of poking me in my chest. He was very close to me when he was telling this story. And if you're watching, were you watching his mannerisms, BC, or were you just listening?
I did. I was just listening.
Okay,
I was at a.
So he doesn't even blink when he retells the story, and he's secure enough to live with whatever it is that we glean from that. And he uses it as he was proving a point the other day, and I guess he was proving a point during the interview, but it came across different because now all of a sudden you're like, I took it completely different the other day than I did Thursday when he said it, and it was the exact same story.
Yeah. Yeah, I took it. It was kind of fun, humorous the way he presented it, and I just thought that was a really good example to use. That I think a fan says, okay, yeah, I see, yeah, that connects to what was with this football team last year. Yes, they had multiple injuries at running back. 3 guys went out at O-line in 1 week, and your quarterback isn't what you thought it was going to be. Now the other side of this should. Even it out, as people say, that offense was down. 104th in yards per play, and you picked your quarterback, so we can even this out and say there's things that you can take tough critiques at because that's what goes with the job. But I think he does a good job at presenting, as they're trying to iron some stuff out, some of the challenges without also making it seem as though it's, woe is us or complaining or throwing anybody under the bus. And there was none of that. So I think that's what makes it very successful in the way it's communicated.
Well, BC, kind of along those lines, another thing he said going up to the spring game was he talks about, I know that Nebraskans want to see the quarterbacks and everything like that. But he's like, I think they really just want to not see us put the ball on the floor. And when you he says that as a joke, and in passing,
I laugh real time too, but I get it now.
But also, let's go back to the first question, or one of the first questions I asked you, where I go, okay, if they just don't put the ball on the floor, they win 50% of those coin flip games, right? Like, just like that. Nothing else changes.
Yeah.
If they stop putting the ball on the floor, they win at least 2 or 3 of those 50-50 games. And all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, Nebraskans would love that, actually. Like, they would have loved that.
He said it so matter of fact.
And everybody laughed.
And we just like pushed it on by.
Right. But I mean, the big reason, Dylan Ryle is a big part of why people are pumped walking out of that spring game. But it was the fact that was a spring game where there was a couple turnovers, but you didn't feel like it was just a clunky production, where there's all these procedure penalties and you're just, rolling the snap back and all this stuff. And if you think back to last year's spring game, he's right. That's like how it was. And there were other scrimmages that preceded that where he told us, we didn't see him in the media, but he told us that they were a little sloppy with some of that stuff. And back then it was sort of like, they'll get that stuff ironed out by the fall, but they didn't. It was those were the habits and stuff that built, and just sort of what that group was, and some of the quarterback issues. And so that comment he made, it was a little humorous about, let's just not put the ball on the ground, but it has big meaning, and they know that if you flip minus 17 in turnovers and make that even, I mean, that's 3 or 4 wins right there. Like if you took I think they averaged like 5.08 per play last year, which was 104th. If they were like 5.80, I was just looking at that number, they'd be top 60. If you combine that with a defense that could up it up to 20 takeaways as opposed to 14, what does that do for you? That's probably 2 or 3 more wins, just on those numbers. And obviously that you get inside those numbers and specific plays that happens within games. But I like that approach. And, sometimes what is said with a little bit of humor also makes a pretty fine-edged point, I think.
That's Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Great stuff as always, BC. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, B.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Andy Kendeigh coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, halfway through the show on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube from the Pillar Exterior Stage. And I got to remind you to go to teamjackfoundation.org. Donate directly on the website. Find what events they're involved in. Find the impact of the money that you donate. Over $12 million and counting to date goes to simple research. Simple. The research isn't simple. The goal is simple. Find better treatments for childhood brain cancer and one day a cure. I say it all the time. Simple goals, not easy execution. That's where Team Jack Foundation comes in, partnering with national institutes to reach those goals. Go to teamjackfoundation.org to learn more or to donate directly to the cause. That's teamjackfoundation.org. Joining us now on the Hurrdat Hotline is Andy Kendeigh from KETV. AK, what's going on, buddy?
Well, we're still battling the bad back. It's
Oof.
been 3 weeks now. It is not good.
Nothing worse than a
Still
bad back.
battling that.
Nothing worse than a bad back.
AK for Channel 7. You seemed to be okay the other day. Were you just faking, or like what were we doing at the spring game?
We were faking it until we make it. That was what I was doing.
I wonder. It was just you and Tom. I was like, "Where's the party?"
Yep. I am too young to feel this old. That's what I'm saying. So we're getting there. We're going to chip away at this thing and get it right one of these days. So, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I've good steady diet of Advil and Aleve and all that stuff. It's good. Good times.
Before we get to state soccer, which is I want to go back to that Saturday because it was Ravi's first experience, and I felt like it wasn't for what surrounded it. Dylan Raiola and the quarterbacks and where was Nebraska. I felt like I didn't know if it was the early start, but the media was very subdued. Do you think? Are we going out of our way? Are we just following Coach Rule's lead? Like, we've tried to do a good job of not being on the hype train. Are we overly sensitive to not overdoing it? Because it was very quiet. Wasn't it quiet around that place Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of factors. I think that it plays a big role. I think people are really trying to tread lightly and trying not to throw too much hype on this kid. And I think we being media, we've made mistakes before overhyping somebody and it doesn't pan out, and then people get all frustrated with the media, right?
Yeah.
So I think this one we're taking more a calculated approach, but I do think, DB, remember, that was like, there was more talk about those terrible storms on that Saturday morning.
Oh, I forgot all about that. I forgot all about that real time. Yep. Because there was some guilt driving down that even I was having.
Mm-hmm.
No question. Like, should we be doing this? And this is kind of weird. And our thoughts are with people going through this terrible time, people losing their houses. Everybody knows somebody who's lost a house or been affected by these storms. And I think that kind of played a role in that too, where people are like, okay, for at least 2 hours, okay, let's try to put the self-guilt aside and try to escape. And I think that played a role in the spring game atmosphere. I will say though, leaving that game, I was let's just say, like most people, convinced that number 15 is going to be directing traffic this year on the offense.
Yeah, not to gas the fire, AK, is a guy that saw multiple. And I was honest with you. Like, you and I would talk off to the side about stuff, and I'm telling you, he was even better on Saturday than I thought, seeing him multiple times.
Yeah, and I just think
I'm not even comfortable saying that out loud, but it's the truth, right? It is what it is.
I just thought that the way he carries himself, I thought was as important for me. I wanted to see him. Of course, I want to see what his arm looked like, his arm strength, whatever. But he makes the simple throws, the way he carried himself, and the way he led his team. I don't know. For a kid who just got here a couple months ago, it was really impressive to me. And I understand now, and it's interesting when we're talking about hype. He was probably getting more hyped up nationally than he was locally, after that game.
Good point.
And I don't know if there's anything wrong with that, because I think we have taken a calculated approach. But after watching him, I think all the praise was merited, because the kid's for real. I mean, it gives you a reason to can't wait for the fall, and he's legit. You want to see him in a red jersey rather than a green jersey to see what really can happen.
We're talking with Andy Kendeigh from KETV. Yeah, AK, I'm curious. You mentioned the hype train and people being a little, I don't know if hesitant's the right word, but maybe a little more reserved in their predictions or prognostications or whatever for next season. But then we see, like you mentioned, nationally, a guy like Joel Klatt comes out and has Nebraska in his top 25 next year. I mean, when you see that, I think he had him at 22, right? So when you see that, what does that look like if they are able to get into a spot like that? Do you think that's like 8-ish wins? Is that reasonable for this team going from last year to this year?
Yeah, I think 8 would be ideal. I think for this team, go back to that Bill Moose line. I think you got to get to 6, right? You got to get to 6. But
that has aged beautifully, by the way, for all the trepidation. Remember being at Big Ten Media Days, and it dominated.
Yeah, we were like 6. 6.
That thing
has turned our nose
that
up.
Thing has aged like fine wine.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, it was like people were losing their minds in Chicago. Like, did you just say what I think? Yeah. And look at that. It's like the Cubs' Billy Goat. When he said that, it's like, oh my God, we gotta exercise this curse. But yeah, I think some of it, really looking at the schedule, is favorable, and they really have a chance to get on a run, coupled with the fact that they are better. It's obvious they are better, and they have big boys and guys that look like they look the part, right? And I don't know if you could really say that a handful of years ago. But yeah, you open up with UTEP and Colorado comes to town. You open with 4 home games. That's saying something. You got a real chance to set the tone when 5 of your first 6 are at home. So, I think what people are talking about is about where I would think. And yeah, 7. I do think 7 is realistic. 8, you never know. So who knows? All things are taken with the caveat that guys stay healthy and the people who you think are going to be there are going to be there. But yeah, I think that's there's reason to believe that's realistic.
How are you doing, AK, the soccer schedule? You got some really good matches, girls and boys. The boys I think they're back at it on Friday, if I remember right. Are they 5:37 on Friday?
The semifinals, for the Class A's.
How are you feeling with the coverage, man? It's a lot of people.
Well, it's pretty amazing, and I soccer in this state is really a cool deal because it's so popular, especially at the high school level, and we got some great games, and we got some great games today. So Class B girls start at noon today, and then Class B boys are tomorrow. And so I like the format. Before, if you guys remember, they tried to squeeze in 6 games per day, and if you ever had weather delays, everything got messed up. The way the NSAA, they extended it a few days, and now they're just playing 4 per day. So if you did run into weather trouble like they did Monday night, they just moved the Monday night games to yesterday morning, where we did have 6 games in nice weather. So Yeah, I think the story, to keep an eye on is the Lincoln schools
Southwest
really
double
taking
dipping.
hold. Yeah, Southwest double dipping, and what happens in Class B with Gretna East if they can finish the job in girls because they have been the dominant team, and then Class B boys is probably about as open up a field as you can get. So yeah, it's going to be a cool deal. Fridays with the semifinals in Class A, Saturday the semifinals in Class B, and then Monday Class A finals, and then Class B on Tuesday.
AK, it's
So,
crazy.
I'm sorry.
It's crazy.
Boys go
yeah.
on Tuesday.
It's crazy for how as good as Gretna Pub has been that just the 1 year split has like changed the trajectory of soccer basically overnight. I know folks in Gretna said, "Oh, we could see this coming. Coach split, players going to split, this, that, and the other." But just amazing to see it play out. You understand fully why some bond issues are slow to pass, right? It's tough when you split high schools.
Yeah, you split high schools, and then you split allegiances and who's going where and what school's going to be what. And it's like, okay, Gretna's got some real talented kids, and you saw that yesterday with Class A, Gretna falling to Lincoln East.
Yep.
Gretna's still a fantastic team to get to state and nearly pull off that quarterfinal win. But Gretna East, it seems like, oh boy, they are loaded, and they were playing a lot of Class A schools and competing obviously with them this year. So I would think Gretna East would be, for a school to come in, much like, and Elkhorn North did in girls basketball. Gretna East said, you know what, we're going to take girls soccer by storm, and that's what they've done.
That's Andy Kendeigh, KETV. AK, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, AK.
Thanks, fellas.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube from the Pillar Exterior stage. And you've just got a few days left to get out to Lawrence Gardens for the Brick Live Brickosaurs exhibit. May 12th is when that exhibit goes extinct. So you better get out there before May 12th to make sure you see over 30 dinosaur sculptures made from over 1.5 million bricks. It is an incredible experience for the entire family, and you can get your tickets at lawrenceandgardens.com. All right, DB.
What up?
Do you want to get into the stupid debate that's all over the...
I mean, I don't. You talking about the basketball football?
Yeah.
Fudge. I mean, maybe I'm biased.
I mean, you're definitely biased, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. Like,
or I am capable of being objective if you say something that actually makes sense.
Okay, let me posit something to you then. Okay.
Okay, so we're talking. This is on the heels of, and this was trending yesterday. I don't know what Austin Rivers was thinking when he said it to Pat McAfee, but then Will Compton
chimed in,
and I chuckle. I chuckle.
He posited that it was easier for an NBA player to go play in the NFL.
Well, he can name 30.
Yeah, basically easier for an NFL player or NBA player to go play in the NFL than an NFL player to go play in the NBA. Now, from just a size standpoint, that might be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the height requirement to be a legitimate NBA player, like Steph Curry is a tiny NBA player at 6'3". He'd be a pretty good sized, height wise at least. He's still really thin. NFL player, right? Not saying he could hold up to the physicality of the NFL, but height wise, there's just going to be some minimum requirements that a lot of NFL players aren't going to hit. But could I make the argument that there is at certain positions in the NFL, there is an easier translation from pure athlete to productive player than there is in basketball at some positions?
I mean, some.
Like, what is the most instinctual position where athleticism translates directly to football?
It'd have to be in the backcourt. Guards.
No, I mean, so what position on a football field is it easiest?
Wide receiver, DB.
Okay, and that's where I was thinking, right? And there's a bunch of dudes in the NBA that kind of fit that mold.
I don't love the Anthony Edwards thing. Do you know how many Anthony Edwards there are out there?
A lot.
Keon Coleman is Anthony Edwards every day that ends in Y.
Ooh.
Look, you have no idea what Anthony Edwards runs. None.
I don't. You're
None.
right.
And I'm telling you this.
But I did see Keon Coleman on a basketball court.
Yeah, but he's not. That's not his skill. Like,
okay,
that's not his thing.
So we're talking skill over athleticism there.
Yeah, football is highly skilled. I'm talking route. There's no one in the NFL, even Tyreek Hill, had to learn to run routes.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just running by guys. It can happen, but somebody has to fall asleep.
So I would have gone DBs as less technical than wide receivers.
Because this is what we think about wide receivers. Oh, man, just run and chuck it up and throw it deep.
No, and that's why I wouldn't have gone wide receiver. I'd have gone
Jalen
DB.
Ramsey would defend Anthony Edwards just fine.
And that's fair.
So, but
I think you could take, maybe I'm wrong here. I think you could take certain NBA players and put them at corner and have their athleticism translate pretty well.
Sure. You know what I would love to see? I
What's
would
that?
love to see an NBA guy track a ball in the air. I would love to see an NBA guy turn and run. NBA guys can't even backpedal.
That's fair.
Like, let's just be real. This isn't my bias. I'm just giving you
So is it easier?
Most football guys can't backpedal.
So is it easier to teach a guy how to backpedal or how to shoot a jumper?
They're both skills.
Because that's what this comes down to, right? Which skills are easier to acquire?
Basketball. It's easier to be a better shooter than it is to turn and run.
Oof.
Ravi.
I think that's where you lose me.
Ravi.
I get it's hard to turn and run. I can't do it. I'm not saying I can.
You can go make threes, though, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also
enough said.
Worked on that for 20 years.
Again, time not being a thing, it's much easier to make jump shots than it is to turn and track a ball.
What do you mean time not being a thing? Time is always a thing.
Take all the time you want. Take all the time you want.
So if I had been practicing for 20 years to turn and run.
I'm going to make it easy. Okay. Time's not a factor. Okay. Would I look like a better shooter before I look like a better DB?
Look like or actually be?
See, there you go with the goddamn semantics. Give it up.
No, I'm not.
Give it up.
How many? I can't listen. I can't tell you how many guys that I see that look like they should be good shooters, that they're forming, and they just can't shoot. They can't make shots. Like looking like a good shooter and being a good shooter are different things.
Oh my god. See, this is why we can't have adult conversations. It is because your willingness to not concede something so blatantly obvious leads me to believe you're being nothing but stubborn.
No, I don't think it's obvious. I think learning skill sets, because
let me just take one.
Okay.
I'm just going to take a random.
Okay.
LeBron James and Julius Peppers. Would Julius Peppers be more apt to look like a comparable or a competent defensive player in the NBA or a low post presence more than LeBron would look like a capable defensive end or tight end?
So here's the problem.
Oh my God.
Okay. So I'll acknowledge, I think Julius Peppers, because I watched him play at Carolina, basketball and football, right? But I watched him play at Carolina in basketball, and that's a guy that okay, he could defend at a super high level. Mm-hmm. The problem is in the NBA now, if you can't play offense, you can't play.
I'm going to ask, I'll set the whole thing in the whole discussion. Go ask Eric Strickland.
All right.
Go ask Eric Strickland.
Which one's easier?
Yeah. Ask him what happened.
Shane, call him.
Ask him what here. I'll send it to you.
Love bum.
It was borderline. I'm not going to be disrespectful. It was not good, and he didn't finish the practice. Now, in his defense, it was the first day, and he didn't give himself time to get acclimated. But I'm telling you, playing on a 94-foot court where you can be twitchy and look super fast. Rajon Rondo could look extremely fast with the basketball in his hand. Let's take John Wall, right? Oh man, you see John Wall with the ball in his hand? He's explosive. Yeah, John Wall would look like every starting corner in the NFL because John Wall is not going out and running any sub 4.5s. He may be a 4.5 guy. Mm-hmm. You ever seen those guys? You ever seen basketball guys at combines? Their numbers they're not jaw dropping.
Not all of them, no. You have some guys that are.
At the end of the day, basketball players cannot handle the physicality. The physicality is harder to replicate than it is the actual skill because there is a minimum skill level that most professional athletes have.
Right. So I'm not going to argue with the physicality.
There just is. Just imagine a guy, a great player like Jokic. Mm-hmm. He couldn't stay in front of any three technique. He couldn't stay in front of any defensive end, but
he's also one of the least athletic players in the league.
Jadeveon Clowney could guard him. He would. I'm not. Listen, he's not holding him to 10-4, right? I mean, Jokic is gonna get his, but one would be a lot less laughable than the other.
I mean, it might be less laughable, but Jokic is still getting whatever he wants.
You're missing the point.
Okay, so
you're missing the point.
What's the point?
Jadeveon Clowney could look more serviceable while being laughed at than Jokic if you put him on a football field. Take Giannis, the Greek freak, right?
Okay,
take Giannis, the Greek freak.
Giannis is a bad example.
Okay,
give me somebody that's like a somewhat
John Morant.
Okay,
freaky, right?
That's a sort of cornerback-ish type body.
Yeah,
that's fair.
He's
John Morant's more fair.
He's Jalen Ramsey, not even. He's Jalen Ramsey without the skill.
That's fair, but Jalen Ramsey could be John Morant without the skill in basketball.
Because those guys haven't been hit. That's the part you're missing.
I'm not arguing with the physicality. I'm not arguing with the physicality.
You can't take that away, though.
I'm not. I'm just talking about the skill set, though. Like, I'm not. None of these guys are actually going to the other league, right? I'm talking about the skill set easier to learn?
The dude said 30 NBA guys. That's a lie.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking Austin Rivers things. I'm doing my own thing. Which skill set is easier to learn? I'm not talking about physicality. We take physicality out of it. I'm not saying John Morant could go play in the NFL.
Ravi.
Do you think John Morant could learn the skill set of being a corner?
Ravi.
What?
A lot of guys can run and jump and dribble basketball without being able to shoot. That's John Morant.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, fair.
Okay. Right? A lot of guys can go practice dribbling. A lot of guys can stand in front of it. You know how many NBA or remix guys and one guys there are?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys can dribble, can't shoot, right? How many guys do you see just get out of bed and go play corner?
I don't know.
I'm just like sometimes you just have to say what it is. I know you love basketball, but why? Just look in cities nationwide. Why do people gravitate more towards basketball than football? You know why? Number one, because you can practice it by yourself. Number two, because the payoff of playing more games is not worth the rigor of practicing 5 days a week and only getting one game. Football is a much harder sport to play than basketball, and it's not even close. This is not even coming from a football guy.
Physically, yes.
Ask any basketball, football player guys.
I agree. Physically,
ask Iverson.
Physically, I agree. It's hard.
Ask Iverson.
Well, I don't have his number. AI and I aren't
said it. We'll Google.
And I aren't on texting terms.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and it's hour number 3. That means we're on KFOR in Lincoln as well with our friends there in the capital city. What are you laughing about?
Travis.
All right, well,
we have so many. This is TR, right? He goes, it just was funny because I don't pay attention to me on the stream, which is clear, right? I mean, short of me picking my nose, which would never happen. Because
try not to do that.
I think it's gross. He goes, by the way, DB is frozen and his face is just full of disgust. So at least we have that working for this combo. I just don't understand why we made this so complicated. One sport is significantly harder to play than the other. Yes or no?
Depends on what you mean by harder to play.
We have Mitch in, by the way.
See, you know what? I'm going to do this to you. You're drawing the delineation. You're drawing a line in the sand. Yeah. I will make it impossible for you to entertain an idea if that's how you want to do radio. Because you're just being an idiot.
No. I think listen. As we were coming back on the air,
why do more people play basketball? Because it's easier.
Okay. Are you not entertained? It's easier in a lot of senses. It's easier because you can practice by yourself, like you said. It's easier because you really only need one piece of equipment to play a ball. You don't need to go out and have, you can play football without pads and everything, but you're not playing real football, right? That's what we're talking about. It's an easier point of entry to the sport also. So, yes, it's easier in a lot of senses. It's also easier on your body because you're not getting hit all the time. Mm-hmm. Physically, football is a harder game. I was talking about skill sets.
I still don't agree.
That's fine.
Would you rather
physically? It's not even close. I'm conceding.
Would you rather practice dribbling a basketball and dribbling with your right and left hand, or going and turning and tracking a ball in the air without touching an offensive player?
I mean, I like basketball, so I'd rather play basketball. But
can you just can't remove yourself from the conversation?
No, I can't because I live here.
It's impossible.
Let's get to Mitch on the Hurrdat hotline. Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, what's going on?
Good morning, guys. I'd rather play baseball.
Which is brutal, too.
Which is the hardest skill set to learn. I think we can all agree.
I think
baseball is the hardest skill set.
Football is close. Baseball is, without question, amazingly difficult. It's hard to be on offense without the ball. Right? Do I want to be in a batter's box? Ravi was laughing this morning.
That's a good point.
Mitch, Ravi was laughing this morning. They were talking about
Imanga?
Yeah, in Chicago. And he was referred to as a soft tosser in the article. And Ravi's laughing because his four-seamer averages low 90s, 91, 92 mile an hour. And he's like, man, it's crazy now that's considered soft tossing.
Yeah, that used to be a lefty with juice. And now it's a soft tossing lefty. And I don't know what to do with myself, Mitch.
Right.
I would like whoever classified that as a soft tosser to go stand in the box and look at it.
I believe it was Peter Gammons.
It was Gammons.
Which is, I
Well,
mean, he knows
okay.
more about
He's
baseball.
been around. He's been around.
Saberhagen was pretty average there, Mitch. Throwing low 90s, man. That's
It's all relative. I mean, if everybody else is throwing 98, then I guess 91 is soft, but it really isn't.
Well, Gubazov was throwing like 86-mile-an-hour splitters.
Oh,
now
you want to talk about the 85 Royals? Let's go.
That's guys changes now, right? It's weird. Baseball is hard. It's brutal. By the way, how's Royals fan doing this morning, Mitch?
Well, not very good after last night.
Yeah,
the Royals just
that was one of the games I described as drunk with the Brewers.
Just brutal finish last night in Kansas City. Everything was good up until 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. I would have answered that question much differently, but hey, you got to make it through those kind of moments in a baseball season. That was awful to watch, though.
How about, not to go, because I'm definitely not a Brewers fan, but you got to give them a little credit for having that roster basically decimated. They're not healthy. They lost a couple of their horses on the front end. The start to the season for them has been impressive. That was the team that I picked that was in the playoffs a year ago that would not be back this year. They're not going to go away. They may not go away easily. I wanted to take Arizona, but I didn't.
Probably should have.
I mean, I'll give them credit. They deserve. I mean, you hit a 3-run homer with down to your last out. You deserve credit, but it doesn't make me feel any better.
Well, that's fair, Mitch. Let's hop into Nebraska football here a little bit, because I mean, what else are we going to talk about? But the we were talking earlier today. We were talking some yesterday about reframing this sort of bugaboo number of 9 wins for Nebraska football fans, because I was trying to frame Nebraska's run from 1970 to 2000 as dominant in college football. And DB was pushing back because there's a lot of 9-win seasons in there that people weren't too happy about.
Mitch is well aware.
Which is fair. And so
saw a few of those years.
My question to you is, what...
It's his delivery. It's Mitch's delivery.
It really is. Throw me off here, Mitch.
That wasn't a joke, but hey,
I know that's what I love.
That's why it's funny.
I saw a few of those.
So, I mean, how long do you think an ascension to 9 wins, if Nebraska gets their under Coach Rule, would actually keep fans satisfied?
Oh, well, we saw what it did for Mike Riley, right?
It lasted about
a month into the next season. Yeah. It's about more than wins. It's about more, like Coach Osborne wrote, it's about more than winning. It's about how the program is structured and all that is happening behind the scenes. And I think it's part of the reason that Matt Rule is so open to providing a window into his program, because he wants fans to get a sense that, things are being done in a way that should make Nebraskans and Nebraska fans proud. So yeah, ultimately you have to win games. But I think it comes down to more than that when you talk about the amount of leeway that he gets. So, not all 9-win seasons are created equal. And I think if Nebraska were to get to that level, say in 2025, it would be met with, great celebration. Also, 9 wins can get you close to the college football playoff now, which
that's kind of been
which wasn't the case when Nebraska was doing it every year for 30 consecutive years or 30 plus. But I mean, you also have to take into account the context of when it's happening in the history of the program. And when you go 7 years without getting to 6 wins, if you then find your way to 9, let's say there's a bridge season in between, and that's like this year, 2024, where you can get 7 or 8 maybe, then like 9 would be viewed as a lot of progress. It would be viewed as a long time coming. It would be viewed as closer to the ultimate prize, which is to play for a, to play in the college football playoff. And then it would also be seen as like confirmation that all of these good things that people are being given access to view behind the scenes, all the people that Matt Rule has hired who seem to be at the top of their profession, that they're actually producing what college football programs are judged by, and that's a winning team.
So, Mitch, you said something in there about the way Matt Rule gives a window into his program with some of his answers. And DB and I were talking earlier about how it seems like he says a lot of things kind of in passing or almost in jest that turn out to be really accurate. As you're kind of listening to him, whether it's, I know you were listening to our interview with him last week, which I appreciate, or his press conferences or whatever, he doesn't really actually have any throwaway lines, does he? Because I've been trying to think about it.
It seems that way.
And every time I'm like, oh, it's kind of a throwaway line, it ends up being something important. I'm trying to think, I'm racking my brain here to think of something he's said that actually wasn't important.
Has he, do you have to listen differently? Has he retrained you, or is it just, I mean, you've done this for so long, you have a style?
I try to listen to everything that a coach is saying, but sometimes I fall into that trap where I stop and I'm doing something else. I'm reading something. There's a lot of multitasking going on sometimes during these press conferences, or if I'm listening to a radio, like something that you guys may have conducted. With Rule, though, I think it's generally the case with the head coach. I do really try to pay attention, because I think you're right. And I hadn't given that a lot of thought, Ravi, before you mentioned that there's meaning in everything that he says. I think that's kind of understood. And I think on some level, I recognize that and knew that. And I know that he speaks substantively, and there's not a lot of coach speak there. And he's very honest and open and like giving with his, he's transparent. He talks about, everything, really. He doesn't, you hear so much about Matt Rule's family when you talk to him. That's because his family is very important to him. Well, family's important to just about everybody. And yet you don't hear a lot of coaches bring that up in, every single interview, because they're guarded, and there's just like a natural paranoia in the coaching business, and, mostly just related to the football side of it, but it bleeds over into all of their answers. And with Rule, you get very little of that. So I appreciate that. And I do listen to everything that he has to say pretty closely, and sometimes find myself going back and re-listening to his press conferences and his interview, because there might be something that I missed. I want to make sure there's not something that I missed. When I said that he gives a window into his program, I don't just mean with the access that he allows to himself and what he says in his answers. I'm talking about the access that he provides into other people in his program. And when I say that, like, I think that's why 9 wins would validate, some of what people believe that they know about his program. I'm not really talking necessarily about the stuff that Matt Rule says when we hear from him. I mean, like the opportunity that he allows just regular Nebraskans to get to know the people and the effort that goes into it behind the scenes. Because look, for a generation at Nebraska, or more than a generation at Nebraska, I think people have understood and recognized that Nebraska was cutting edge in a lot of ways, and was at the front of the college football world with its approach to strength and conditioning, or nutrition, or whatever recovery, whatever was important in that moment. And I think in like the Nebraska was always good, but I think in like through the process of like patting ourselves on the back as the community around Nebraska, like it, maybe we didn't quite look around enough, and Rules opened my eyes to that, because I think what he's done in like reshaping all of these areas is he has taken Nebraska to a place where it's very much at the top or close to it. And that's really important for people to know. I've got a story coming out tomorrow. I won't completely spill the beans on it, but it's on somebody who's behind the scenes at Nebraska. and is just tremendously important to the Nebraska program. And this is a person that I heard Rule and others just talk about over and over and over, to the point where it got me curious about what this person was doing. So I went because Rule green lighted it. He said, "Yeah." I said, "I want to do this story," and he said, "Yeah, you should do the story." And let me tell you more about this person. They're the best that's out there, and that's why he went and hired this person. I don't. I'm trying not to give it away.
I guarantee you, if you give me 2 guesses, I'm gonna get it.
I'll say I got 2 people who I think it is, but that's fine.
So I was in the new complex yesterday, and was like, for one, just kind of blown away by the interview that I conducted, and 2, it was the first time I'd been in those hallways, and it was very, very impressive to see.
I'm just gonna say this and leave this right here. This particular individual that I think we're talking about is an absolute boss too, given complete autonomy, and everybody in that place knows. like
those are all accurate.
It's grass in here, or it's like I can't. I am fascinated, because I hope it's who I think it is, Mitch, because I always want more every time I'm around this person. Always.
Okay.
Teach me this. How does that work? I want to know more about this. This is interesting. Like, it's fascinating. But Mitch, let me ask you something, because you're really one of the things that I appreciate about you, and it's funny because I laughed earlier on your delivery. Like, I think a lot of times, how you disseminate information is kind of what makes you captivating, but also how you take it in, right? Because you're very deliberate, but things happen in your head quickly, and it happens a lot of different things. When you're processing and you're seeing this machine known as Nebraska football try to move forward, what is it about the information that you've received since the offseason that doesn't allow us to talk or have concerns about some of the in-game stuff last year that we didn't like? Is it because of how he is in press conferences? Is it because he's disarming? Is it because he doesn't deflect? He's addressed. He needs to get better there too. Why don't we talk about those things, in your opinion?
It's a good question. I think sometimes you get into the off season and you start to think more big picture. And so it is important to go back and say, hey, what happened in November? And realize that Nebraska did lose 4 consecutive games to end the season, and all of them kind of fell apart at the very end, whether it was one play or like a series offensively or defensively. And that's important stuff. That's big stuff. That's like, that needs to be fixed. I think, I feel confident that Nebraska under Matt Rule is going to find a way to fix that, because of what I've seen from him and like the way that he addresses issues that pop up. I don't think he pushes them aside and tries to minimize them. I think his tactic is to meet things head on. And I've talked about it, and this is the same thing regarding end of game. I've talked about it a lot. I've written about it, but one thing that really stood out to me, like throughout last season, like a big moment for me in watching him last season, was to see the way that he changed his approach to addressing that. And it was the way he addressed it publicly, but I think it was also reflective of the way that he addressed it internally. So Nebraska opens the season at Minnesota, and it loses in devastating fashion by falling apart on its last couple of offensive drives. And Rule came out after the game and said there was a question about how this same kind of thing happened again, and Nebraska's like living in this recurring nightmare. And what do you think about that? And he was like, whoa, hold on. This is my first game. Like I haven't been here for that. And pretty quickly after that, I think he really recognized, and I don't know if it's because he came to that on his own or somebody came and talked to him within his program, but he stopped saying that. he started saying, we're all living this. And just because I've only been here for a month as the coach during a season or 2 weeks or 6 weeks, like that doesn't matter. Like the players in that locker room, they've been through it. The fans, the people around the program, the people who support the program and are like longtime employees of Nebraska athletics, they've been living through this thing. And it's a mentality and it's something that you have to teach on a daily basis. So that's his approach. And I think that gives me confidence that whatever issues crop up, that he's going to find a way to address it head on. And you can't fix something without actually addressing it.
We're talking with Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, I'm curious. We've asked a couple people about this, and we've talked about this kind of at length a little bit, but I'm curious what your thoughts are about why Rhule's approach translates so well to the personality types in the state of Nebraska, because it seems like he is engaging in a way that, and maybe it's just his personality in general, but he's engaging in a way and kind of connects in a way to Nebraska fans that I don't know that any Nebraska coach ever has, even going back to T.O., because T.O. was super reserved. And I think Nebraska fans respected and admired him, but I don't know how much they connected with him. It seems like,
I think even for as good as he was, they always felt like, I think we always felt like he wasn't giving,
and we didn't know him
enough, right?
Right?
Like
It feels
we didn't
like
really
we-
know him.
yeah. Like, why do you think that is with Coach Rhule?
Well, I just think that's just who he is. I mean, look, he's born in New York, grew up in Philly, coached at Temple, coached in Texas. He went from coaching in Philadelphia to going to Texas overnight. And it's hard to find, other than the fact that both places are passionate about football, it's hard to find two places in this country that are a whole lot different as far as how you would connect with just a general fan base. And maybe Baylor is a little more similar to Temple than it would be if he had been the coach at Texas Tech or Texas. But I think he would have done just as well in those roles too, because the people that he really had to connect with when he got there were the Texas high school football coaches. And that's no different if you're the head coach at Baylor versus the head coach at Texas. And the similarity when you get to Nebraska, what binds all of those places, Pennsylvania, Texas, Nebraska, is that they just really care a lot about football. And that's what people see in him. Yeah, he absolutely cares about everyone around him, and he works, tirelessly to surround himself with the best people in coaching and out of coaching, and he's genuine, and people appreciate that. And he doesn't take days off, or he doesn't take hours off. It seems that he's always on. That stuff resonates with Nebraskans for sure. But I think what it really comes down to is the same thing that made him successful in building that kind of rapport with people in Pennsylvania and in Texas, is that he just cares about football a lot. And that's what people at the end of the day most want to see.
Mitch, could it be as simple too? Because I like the versatility and being a good speaker and getting a feel for people. But how about just his work ethic? He comes across as a guy that works extremely hard. You think that's something we not me, because I'm relatively lazy, but that we gravitate towards is his work ethic?
Yeah. And it's not just him. The other guys on his staff. Tony White, I get that vibe from him every time I've talked to him. I sat down with him in late February or early March, I think. And my first question to him, kind of an icebreaker on that day as we were walking into the defensive meeting room in the North Stadium, was something like, so have you had a little bit of time here to kind of get a breath, to take a breath and relax? Being that it was obvious that they were between the main period of recruiting and portal activity and then spring practice getting started. And it was like he took offense to the question. He's like, absolutely not. I'm not I don't relax. What are you talking about? I was like, man, mental note, don't ever ask Tony White again if he's had a moment to relax. He didn't want to hear that. I'm not relaxing. Jeez. But the rules like that, and those are the kind of people that he he attracts to want to work for him. And yeah, that's definitely a part of why Nebraskans feel the way they do about him.
I'm glad I subscribed to The Athletic because I'm pumped. I'm pumped.
I know.
I'm pumped for this article.
I just want to see if I'm right. Mitch Sherman.
Shoot me a text right before you drop it so I'm ready.
Mitch Sherman from The Athletic.
Tomorrow morning.
Mitch, we appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks.
We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us wherever. Of course, anywhere you get podcasts as well. We've ran along on a couple interviews today.
That's the advantage of the replay page.
Yeah, make sure you're checking it out on Apple,
totally worth it.
Spotify, whatever, the YouTube stream. You can get all the extra stuff that we go a little bit long on. And if you're looking for more extra stuff, I got something else for you, right? ProVolleyball.com, because the PVF Championship is coming to Omaha. Tomorrow is the last day to see your Omaha Supernovas in the regular season, but the PVF Championship is coming to Omaha, and I want you guys to go out and support it because this is a really big deal. It is the highest level of volleyball in the world. These are Olympians, these are national champions, these are All-Americans, and they're all going to be gathered in Omaha next week to crown the first ever PVF champion right here in Omaha. And I'm asking you to go out to provolleyball.com and show the league what Omaha does when you bring big events to our city. Omaha, I need you to show out for me because we want this thing back here every single year. This is what we do. Make it just another version of the College World Series like we do. There's going to be a fan fest. Make sure you get out to provolleyball.com to get your tickets to the PVF Championship next week right here in Omaha.
I'm trying to guess Mitch's article.
There's two people that I have in mind here.
I'll give you a third, but I don't want to.
No, I don't want to spoil it for Mitch. So we'll.
Yeah, I think you can make the case for a third.
I do want to get to Kool-Aid Steve because he has called in 3 times. We appreciate your devotion.
Must be Colorado talk
to getting on the show. If you want to call, you can always get us 888-638-4876. But Kool-Aid Steve, you've been patient, you've been persistent. It is now your time to shine. Steve, what's up, buddy?
Well, how you guys doing today?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Well, not bad. I just had my second knee replaced a week ago yesterday. I had the other one done in January, so doing pretty well actually.
How did the Mama's Pizza taste after the travel?
Actually, very, very good.
Yes.
I thank you guys so much for that. And I figured you guys would probably want to get a little payback this year.
Oh, yeah. Let's make a bet, Steve.
This dude
laid
21 points a year ago, and it was laughable.
22. You got 22. What's the bet this year, Steve? Let's do it, baby.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at the schedule right now.
You giving me 21 again?
Oh, Lord.
Well, why don't you guys propose something, and I'll see whether I think it's a good idea or not.
You know what? I'll propose, Steve.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'll just do straight up win or loser. Nebraska wins, Colorado loses. That's my bet. Straight up.
Oh no, I'm not going to take that.
Oh, so you want?
I don't even know. Like,
you want Nebraska to give you points?
What are the early lines?
It just came out yesterday. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
I'm gonna have Ravi.
How smart I am.
You guys talk amongst yourself.
I would say Nebraska's favored by 10 at home.
10.
Ooh.
Gosh, that's a ton.
That's aggressive.
Here's the.
I would say.
So Kool-Aid Steve, you got the nickname by reason. Do you believe in Coach Rule?
Yeah, I don't know. I was a bit I drank the Kool-Aid on frost, and what the heck did that get me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was until he signed this 5-star quarterback. Okay. And that's totally what I called about, right? I think it's going to be a huge mistake. And I don't think we're going to win 6 games this year with a true freshman quarterback. I think we would have been so much better to sign Howard.
K-State.
Yep, and run the same exact offense because he would have fit in well, and we lost so many close games last year. We wouldn't have had to change anything, right? I don't see how a new philosophy, a new quarterback, new receiver, everything's brand new, how this is going to work out well the first year. I just don't see that happen. That's my own opinion. And I see two ways this can go with Raiola. That he plays so well that he gets frustrated because he's not playing meaningful games and he transfers out. Or the team is so bad and he's getting roughed up that he transfers out after 2 years. I don't think we'll ever see the third year out of Raiola. I say he transfers because it's so bad, or he's playing so well and the team's not doing well that he wants to play and have a chance for that.
Wait. So can he play well and the team not play well?
No. If he plays well, they're winning 8 or 9 games, Steve. It's that man, Kool-Aid Steve. I thought you were like Kool-Aid, like drinking the Kool-Aid. It sounds like you got like that Jonestown Kool-Aid going on over there where you're kind of a fatalist. Like, I'm just saying, the only way we don't see year 3 from Raiola is if they change the rules and let him go pro after 2. All right? That's the only way.
You don't know me at all.
No, I don't.
Kool-Aid because I tell Nebraska fans to don't drink the freaking Kool-Aid.
That's right.
I think with my head, not my heart. Okay, you're outside the box looking in for something that's been going on for 15 years, right, Damon?
Yep.
You need to clue this guy in a little bit. And
okay, so let me clue you in a little bit here, Steve. If Dylan Raiola plays well, listen, hey, if Dylan Raiola plays, first of all, I wasn't on the show last year when you made the bet, so that's fine. You can make bets with whoever you want. You can blame it on Andrew. I'll give you his Twitter handle. If Dylan Raiola plays well, this is not a team that's not going to win games. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If you like, that's just not a thing that happens.
Well, okay. Look at Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, Lord.
Do you think that he is a good quarterback and capable of leading a team to 10 wins?
I don't think Jesus Christ could lead a Deion Sanders coach team to 10 wins.
Wow.
We're talking about me making almost every prediction right, even though they're hugely unpopular. Yes, you can play well. Shedeur Sanders has the ability, just like Raiola may have the ability, but if he's running for his life exactly like Sanders did last year, he's not going to be able to showcase his talents.
Is Nebraska's offensive line the same as Colorado's offensive line?
I actually could see that point if Nebraska's O-line is as bad as Colorado's.
But they're not.
I just don't see that being a thing, Steve.
I've seen high school offensive lines that aren't as bad as Colorado's.
I don't know.
They got 4 guys, maybe.
When was the last time Nebraska had a serviceable offensive line?
Last year. Literally last year.
Oh, good Lord.
Hey, go look at the numbers, man. Like, Steve, you can't be thinking with your head, not your heart, and then come at me with nonsense.
Here's the thing. They were like top 3 in the Big Ten. Wait, Steve, they were top 3 in the Big Ten with time allowed to throw the football. Top 3 in the Big Ten. Like, that's real hard data.
Okay, if we want to make a bet, let's go on total wins.
Oh, boy.
I'll take Nebraska's total over Colorado's total all day.
We're not talking about Colorado, moron. We're talking about Nebraska.
Oh, you've been talking about Colorado this whole damn time, so.
Goodness.
No, you literally have been talking about Colorado this whole time.
Okay, Steve, what's the number?
Yeah, moron, what's the number?
I say under 6.
I'll take that all day.
I'll take it.
All day.
I'll take it.
So going to be the same bet?
Yep. The 2
8 walleye fillets and a pizza from each of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although
Okay.
I have no interest in walleye fillets, but I'll take your money, or I'll take it. That's fine. I'll take the fish. I'll give it to Damon.
All right, Steve, we're on.
Okay. I say we don't win 6 games with Raiola. You say we win 6 games and go to a bowl game.
Yep. I'm hoping not to be here to get your Christmas card, Steve. That's what it is. I want to be bowling.
All right, good talk, moron.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Steve.
See, that was not going to go well. I had to get you out of that. That was because you're kind of he.
I'll fight him all day. I don't care.
What?
I'm not afraid to beat up an old man.
Shade, what are we doing?
I'm okay with it.
What are we doing?
We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln, live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, and we are live on the Pillar Exterior stage. And I got to remind you, get out to our friends at Warhorse Sportsbook. I don't think they have the futures yet that we were trying to bet with Kool-Aid Steve there, but they will at some point because you can make bets on nearly every major sporting event at Warhorse Sportsbook, either in Lincoln at the casino or at Horseman's Park in Omaha. They have you covered. It's the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. Any questions? Go to Warhorse Sportsbook or warhorsecasino.com/sportsbook and get all the details and a full list of house rules. That's Warhorse Sportsbook. No bets, no glory.
He didn't even give you the hook.
What hook?
Just 6.
Oh yeah, no. Take that all day.
I get it.
All day. Listen, I'm saying you got to be out of your GD mind to think that Dylan Royal is going to play well and Nebraska's not going to win games.
You know what's? I'm just laughing off air.
And the Colorado example is idiotic because if you think Dion and Matt Rule have any damn thing in common, you are not paying any attention. They are polar opposites. Like they technically have the same job title, technically, and that is where the similarities end.
Maybe Shane, we had to. There's probably a handful of people we had to put on punishment.
Ever?
Yep.
Yeah.
Over the duration since I've been doing this since 05.
I'm just saying, you come on my own show, call me moron. We're gonna fight.
Like
I was a little nervous.
Kool-Aid Steve is one of them.
Michigan Lance is one.
Michigan Lance was one.
I'll beat up an old man. I don't care.
Give Michigan Lance a month.
Really?
Yeah.
What did he do?
Kool-Aid Steve may have been longer than that.
What Michigan Lance do?
Ain't no telling. I can't even remember.
How'd he come back?
Time.
Can we put him back on, Ben? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Michigan Lance.
Time. So he can, and it's weird. That's one of those guys you wouldn't think I would get along with, but I do.
Yeah.
Right. I remember he invited me to a deal at CWS where he had like a fish fry with his work and stuff, because he does push the envelope. I just think it's funny. And I almost went there with the NFL NBA talk. But see, I know me. And I'm normally the one that, like, when I go, there's zero coming back.
Yeah.
But
full send.
But for you, I think it's worse. So I mean this. Like, I know I can be, when I go there, I'm going. But I'm afraid if I do.
And then if I do.
And then you do. You're not coming back. Like I could probably, like, I took Schaefer last week. Like, so I'm capable of reeling it in.
Yeah.
I don't think you are. So I'm afraid to go there. You've made me a little timid because I think you're crazy.
I am a little crazy. Like a fox.
Like, this dude was seriously going to punch his computer. He dropped the moron on him. Moran.
No, listen, I mean,
you Moran.
Hey, I'll beat up an old man. I do not care.
Dude, you did say that out loud.
I don't care. It's fine.
What's wrong with it?
He's drinking that.
Yeah, say it again. Say it again for those in the back. I am.
Listen, if you're going to talk nonsense, you have to be okay with the fact you might, as an old man, get beat up.
No, you guys are friends.
What, because he was yelling at clouds or what?
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm an old man at heart, so if I go beat up other old dudes, it's fine.
Dude, I'll take the fish, though.
I'll take the.
So he
sent
one. He sent one back, and I never got it. Like, I didn't get in contact with her.
Yeah.
It's
all. Listen, I don't care about the fish. I just want to be right.
That's a great number.
6.
Yeah.
Easy number. Easy number.
Dude, we haven't seen it in years. Relax over there.
I understand that. We're
Simba down.
Listen, this is Donna Summer. This is year 2 of Coach Rule. You can't put all that Frost crap on him. He's gonna go all 10 miles on you. Don't put that crap on me, man.
Oh, there's my man Waxings.
You can't. Don't put that crap on me.
Hey,
Joseph.
Hey, my dude. Oh man, good to hear from him.
Stank says a little crazy understatement of the year. Joseph on YouTube says, Steve, recruiting a 5-star QB was a mistake. Has to be one of the dumbest takes in history of takes. If Nebraska had even average QB play last year, they were 7-8. I know you hate that part. But although I think average QB played last year. You don't like trying to translate it to this year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah,
Because
I'll take that statement.
yeah,
That's fine.
and that's 100% true.
That's fine.
I'm going to go as far, if they had below average quarterback play last year, they would have won 7 or 8 games. They had awful quarterback play.
Do you know what
last
I
year.
can't stand? I like solutions, right? And and I'm kind of matter of fact.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy when people can't take their own feelings out of just hearing information. Like when you get to a line where people can't do that, you either have to stop talking or change the conversation, because you can't rationalize with people that are being irrational because of their feelings. So once it got to that place, I just became a spectator.
Yeah, I'm just going to yell at him. It's fine. Listen, I will.
I mean, it's like.
And by the way,
if Rayola plays well, Nebraska's not going to have a bad season.
No, they're not. That's stupid.
I guess I have to tweet this. This graphic again.
Like
I'm still mad that people think Nebraska's offensive line play was below average last year.
They were pretty.
That's not a good take.
No, it's a terrible take. It's a lazy take by somebody that's too busy fishing instead of watching football games, and that's fine.
Stop it.
Listen, that's fine. We were talking about Colorado, by the way. He kept bringing up Dion and Shador and whatever.
You can do both at the same time.
Well, how? How, Shane? Tell me.
It's like when somebody asks me a question.
Fish and watch football?
Fish and watch football. You got your phone on you. You can watch football at the same time while you're fishing.
It's like when somebody asks a question then gets mad at me for answering it on the air. Like, yeah, we're going to have a problem.
So as long as we've been doing this, February 13th, right?
Yep. Day after the Super Bowl.
As crazy as this show gets, very little of it has to do with me.
That's fair.
I feel pretty good because I'm just building equity for when I have meltdowns later on.
Because it's coming.
Oh yeah,
it's on the way.
It is. I'm pacing myself.
I'm gonna need you to give me some kind of signal so that I know that I need to be the one to bring it back. Because naturally, that's not in my.
You know who will know before anyone? Shane or Sasha?
I would say Sasha. Sasha's gonna text me like, Ravi, reel it in, reel it in.
Shane will give the look. Yes, exactly.
No, Shane will start aggressively playing drops to try and interrupt you, and it's only gonna make it worse.
I'm trying to crop it.
No, Nebraska's offensive line was pretty good last year, and I'm trying to make the jump from pretty good to just good.
It's just a lazy.
It's a lazy take. It's a bad take. There was a good, like, the offensive line, I believe, is a strength this year.
Well, I don't know, but it wasn't below average.
No, not even close. Not even close to below average. That's a terrible take. If
maybe,
listen, I understand you could say, okay, maybe the defense regresses a little bit in certain areas. I'm not asking for another necessarily top 20 scoring defense in the country. I get that. There are certain areas where you can convince me they're going to regress. Offensive line's not one of them.
Yeah.
Because they bring a ton of dudes back. They've got even more depth ready to go at those positions. I think you can go 9. Is 9 a fair number?
I'm not doing this with you.
Offensive line? No, offensive line, not wins.
That's high.
How many guys do you think they trust?
Gosh, I feel like Cam Newton.
Teddy P.
Putting me on the spot. Trust, I will go with.
Trust to play, not trust to stay healthy, because that's a different thing.
I will go with. You could convince me of 8.
Okay. So you got 8, and then you've got a couple guys that maybe you like that haven't proven themselves yet. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so you're talking 8 guys you feel good about, a couple more, probably more than 2 more that you think, oh, we might have something here eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good group of offensive linemen.
I mean, I think
you feel pretty good about that.
Hey, Shane, my buddy asked what happened to Don Juan. Has Don Juan hit us up? We got to put out an APB. You know people, Ravi. Do some research. I'm gonna call Art. I never had Don Juan's number, but I am gonna reach out to Art.
Yeah, we need to reach out to some of our faves there.
So you can,
But I'm just saying to compare
That's Don Juan.
To compare Nebraska's offensive line to Colorado's offensive line,
I didn't get that either.
Is ludicrous.
But sometimes you just got Lulla. Sometimes you just got to move on.
I don't got to move on. If people hey, you talking about letting people off the hook?
See, here we go.
No, you talking about letting people off the hook? When I'm talking to somebody live on the air, I'm certainly not letting them off the hook.
Those are two
when
guys,
they say stupid stuff.
Those are two guys, by the way, Art and Dom Juan, who could never go on that
John Moran?
That list that we would
ban list.
Yeah, no way.
You talking about John Moran playing corner?
Yeah, Louisiana. Exactly, Mom.
Mama D would never.
She knows football. Much tougher skill sets.
Much tougher guys.
So, I know, right? You still can't catch a punt in the air, but I could teach my mom to make a jump shot proficiently better than I could.
Most guys that play football can't catch a punt in the air. You know that.
Yeah, but yet you get guys like
most guys that play football can't do what you're asking about catching a punt in the air.
And I'm even talking about la creme de la creme in the world, because like once you get to like LeBron James or Javion Clowney or anybody, you could probably play almost any sport
and figure it out.
But football's got the one non-negotiable.
What's that?
Getting hit.
Yeah, that changes the equation, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about skill sets. Is getting hit a skill?
Yeah, but how do you make the comment that 30 guys could play?
I didn't make that comment.
No, I'm just saying, without having to actually play.
Yeah, Austin Rivers is nuts. I'm not going there. I'm taking his thing and I'm doing my own thing. Now, here's the argument that I'll make. And because we only got 10 seconds left, so you won't have time to argue back.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be fine. NFL football players have more explosive athleticism. I think basketball players have elite body control. To me, those are different things.
Okay.
Different types of athleticism, both important. I just prefer the basketball player version.
Of course you do.
That's DB. He didn't have an argument to come back with, so I guess we're done here. It's Hurrdat Sports Radio. We'll be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.